ईमानदारी से टैक्स भरता है, उसकी कोई परवाह नहीं है। और इसलिए हमारा निर्णय है कि विदेश से जो काला धन वापस लाएंगे, उसमें से कुछ परसेंटेज ये जो रेगुलर सैलरी वाले लोग इनकम टैक्स भरते हैं ना, उनको इनाम के रूप में वापस देंगे।
Namaste, Suswagatam, and welcome to our Sunday edition of Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. As you know, we are on various platforms at the same time every Sunday at 8 p.m. Today is episode number 241, and we will be for the next 35 minutes to 45 minutes discussing with Dr. Subramaniam Swamy the present budget and the impact on the Indian economy. So without wasting much time, I thank our viewers across the globe for the support we get Sunday after Sunday, and we thank our viewers. And you can always watch our program on the YouTube channel, which you can go to YouTube and Virat Hindustan Sangam section and get all our past episodes. So with these words, it is over to Dr. Swamy. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Jagdish. Today is a very important day in the sense this is something which the country is agitated about, and we have to put it in perspective. Agitation is not enough. We have to understand what is needed and what needs to be done and what shouldn't be done. First of all, I'd like to say that in order to assess a budget, gone are the old days where you did accountability. You know, this much for so much, this much for so much, and seeing that there's a balance. These are the old days when, for example, Krishnamachari was the finance minister. He was basically a businessman. Of course, he was a lawyer too. But the kind of budget he produced was not based on economics. Economics is where you generate the forces of the economy, and they all move in different directions to lift the whole country or the whole economy at the same time, not a particular group being benefited and others. Now, today in the 21st century, first of all, before you assess the budget or even formulate the budget, there are 4 dimensions that you have to deal with. One is clearly state what your objectives are. Then the second thing is, what are your priorities in those objectives? Then third is, what is the strategy you're going to adopt to achieve those objectives? And finally, how you're going to mobilize the resources that will be needed for what you have proposed in the budget. Now, these four things don't figure anywhere in the budgets of the last 25 years at least, which I have seen since entering politics. And I have, every time I have raised this when I was in parliament, I used to raise this issue. And the only brief time we did something of that was when Narasimha Rao was there, and I held a minister rank position, but because I refused to join the Congress party, he said, "Okay, I will give you a name, a position which will not be cabinet rank, but the rank will be cabinet rank, but you will not be part of the cabinet." So that's how I was assisting as a Janata Party member. I was assisting Narasimha Rao because you had a top economist also, namely Manmohan Singh, who later became Prime Minister too, but he was a top economist, particularly in the field of international trade. There was also a secretary, foreign secretary, finance secretary, and that's the Monte Singh Ahluwalia, who's also educated and a PhD in economics. He was also there. That was Narasimha Rao. He picked people that way. And nobody has done that after that. In fact, Mr. Modi is more afraid of capable people becoming ministers because they might become challengers to his prime ministership. I don't know what the problem is, but he generally has people in key portfolios as people who are boneless wonders and who will do whatever he wants to do. That's why today we have a finance ministry where the finance minister does not do any work on finance, on the budgeting. It is done by the PMO, and then it comes for signature to Nirmala Sitharaman, who signs and then of course makes out as if she has done the whole thing. So now, first of all, I would say, having said this, objectives, priorities, strategy, resources, these four are the pillars on which the budget stands. Now, I would say many people today, when they're looking at the newspapers or writing in the newspapers, they look at the growth rate and inflation, unemployment. These are words which need to be converted into meaningless relationships in the economy. Why is there inflation? Why is there unemployment? What is it that we need to do to remove unemployment? How do we go about maintaining the prices at a particular level? How can you reduce prices when the prices are tending to rise? What is the meaning of GDP? What are you measuring actually? Do people know what we are measuring? It's a very complicated calculation. And this conversation, I was, in fact, my PhD was done under the father of GDP, the Simon Kuznets, who became, of course, a Nobel laureate subsequently. So I can tell you the minuteness with which he taught me, pointing out what are the minute factors in the GDP. And the GDP is something which the government of India, finance ministry, or Reserve Bank, none of them know except the superficial aspects of it. GDP is crucial, and we really don't know. Today we say GDP is growing at 8%. What does that mean? What is it that inside inside the GDP that has gone to push it up? What is it that is pulling down? All these have to be explained. And if you have risen because of the rich people have become rich and the poor people have become poor, but the rich have become so rich that the poor people have been in the calculation been swamped out, then that's not economic growth. So therefore, in this short time, I'll have to put this in as short a way as possible. I'm telling you that there are so many aspects of the economy. Take, for example, export and import. How does it affect the Indian economy? Nobody knows, except that if you export less than you import, then you have a foreign exchange problem. That's all people know. But how does it affect the economy, and how should it be structured? That there's no presentation of it anywhere. And certainly the economic survey that comes out is just a bureaucratic rubbish, which I wouldn't, and nor with the World Bank and the IMF. They get whatever they get from India and then they recycle it, put their own stamp and send it. They don't have any independent statistical department which can view Indian data by collecting it themselves. They rely on Indian government to give them the data. So now what I would say is this, that today our rate of growth, which they claim is 8%, makes me wonder what is the underlying basis of this. How does the rate of growth get calculated? So there we find that rate of growth is calculated by the value added by each sectors to the economy. The value added is dependent on the production. That production is dependent on the investment. So it's a big circle that you go around. So if I were to simplify, I would say that a GDP is dependent on the rate of investment, the amount of investment that you have put in, and is also dependent on another factor which nobody talks about, which is the output capital ratio. Of course, Arvind Chaturvedi, being a teacher of economics, he would certainly know what that means. But the output capital ratio is for 1 rupee of money putting in as capital, how much is the output generated, the productivity of the capital. That's the measure. So these are the factors which go in to make the economic growth. So I would say that first of all, please, when you are going to, somebody tells you growth rate, you ask them, what is the capital output capital ratio or capital output ratio? Give me that number. And also tell them what is the total investment that you put in. Then you can make an assessment. I have made the assessment, and I can tell you that today when the government says 8% or 7%, it is not more than 5%. I have challenged so many times the economists of the finance ministry or planning commission or whatever it's called nowadays. I told them I'm ready to debate with you. Nobody wants to come to debate with me. Even in media, when they ask me to come and speak on the economy, nobody wants to come and debate with me, because all of them don't either want to annoy Mr. Modi or they don't know the subject. So I would say the first and foremost thing that you have to see is your economy healthy by the amount of investment funds that have been generated, by the use of that capital. That investment comes out of capital. How do you use it? Do you use it efficiently? And that is how it has to be evaluated. And then you convert it to which sectors of the population is provided how much. You can have a growth rate just because the urban growth rate of rich people has pushed it up, and overall it all takes it up. You can get an 8% growth rate, but the poor people may get poorer. Have you ever got in any of the economic survey what the poor people's standard of living has sunk year by year? No, this will not be given. It's basically that their growth rate has gone to 8%, and it'll go all around the world. It's a number. It is not something that you need to. So I would say today, if somebody would ask me, what do you really want India to do? I would say the following. Make India a healthy economy by the following steps. First, abolish income tax. Why? Because income tax is a harassment to the middle classes. It's a harassment to those who honestly pay taxes. And it is something which the rich completely bribe the income tax officials to do it. The most corrupt department today would be the income tax. There are honest people in it, but they can't open their mouth. So you will see that many of these crooked businessmen who have come up fast, that's because they don't pay income tax at all. It's ultimately it's a burden on the society. So first is be honest. Let's bring some honesty. Abolish income tax. How much do you lose? First of all, please know that the entire agricultural sector does not have income tax. Second, the urban tax, the non-agricultural sector has income tax, but there are so many exemptions being provided that the rich have got chartered accountants who can tell you how much to. And finally, you will find most of the rich people pay a very small fraction of what they earn. Whereas the middle class, who have no alternative but have their salaries cut at the base, when the money is being, your salary is being given, that time they take away the income tax. So they are the big sufferers. The really poor, of course, are poor sufferers because there's unemployment in the country. And so consequently, we have to look at that. When you talk about the income tax, how much has been collected and which sectors have paid for it, there's nobody who can give it to you. Even all these fancy projects, the fancy announcements that the government of India has made, even those are not convertible into numbers. Then I would say, second thing, I'm talking about now how to make the Indian economy abolish income tax. What will happen? You will be short of some money, but if that money, it goes to somebody, he's either going to save. If he's a middle class man, he'll put it in a fixed deposit and you will automatically get that money. If he's a rich man, he will invest. In fact, he will invest even more vigorously because now he knows there's no income tax to harass him. All this income tax that you have not collected will go as investment or as deposits in banks, which will be then taken as a loan for investments. So the economy will start moving and it will go fast. I'm telling you, Japan did this and became a developed country once again after being destroyed by World War II. China has done it in some sectors, but they got the results. We have not done that at all. In fact, during Narasimha, in Modi's tenure, the income tax has gone up and up and up. In fact, most taxes have gone up. So, secondly, the interest rates for borrowing, for what? Borrowing for building a factory or for building a house. So, all these things which generate employment, you must encourage. So the interest rates, when somebody who's an entrepreneur goes to the bank, how much should you be charged? For 12%? Is charged 12%? How much in the United States for a loan, you go to a bank? 2%. It's supposed to be the richest country. They can afford a higher income tax, but still they say no, that money will go into productive use. Or there will be avoidance, which means black money. Black money means distortion of your income, of your economic policy, because the black money will go into those which are mostly luxury goods, where the rate of return is very high, and there cannot be. If you build a factory with black money, you will be caught. But if you buy a beautiful mansion, then you will not be caught. The people who will come there are so ordinary that you can bribe them and show them off. And finally, we should tell the middle class that if you save, we'll give you not 6% on fixed deposit, we'll give you 9%. And there will be a pouring if that happens. So these are the things that need to be done. But unfortunately, we have really, Modi is illiterate, I know it from a long time. And economics, he and I have discussed economic issues, and I know that he knows zero. and Nirmala Sitharaman went to JNU. That means you know what. Don't expect anything from her. So, who are the people? Is there anybody who can dare to say what you're doing is wrong? There's nobody in the government who is willing to say that. And that is why I would conclude by saying that as long as the Modi government is there, they will not be able to improve the economy. They may give you on numbers which will make you feel foreigners can praise you because they know you are easily flatterable. But ultimately, please see this thing which I've given to Jagdish to put it out to all of you, where it shows that all our graphs are going up and down, up and down. Why? One crisis, it goes down, and then it takes a long time to come back. So when it falls and then it rises to 8%, it means nothing. That's exactly what has happened. It is a recovery that has taken place. So when you look at these numbers going up, it doesn't reflect a high growth rate. It reflects a recovery into normalcy. So these are matters which need to be told to the people, and we must see that the Indian economy boosts, it rises by 10% per year. It is a possibility. It should be able to spread its income so that the income inequalities go down and employment is generated. The investment should be such that the employment is generated. It's not capital intensive alone, but the employment generations also take place. Over to you, Jagdish.
Thank you, Dr. Swami, for that insight. I also want to inform our viewers that Mr. Swaminathan from Chennai has joined us, and he will be also presenting some slides and basic statistics. And Mr. Ramesh Swami and Arvind Chaturvedi also will discuss the issue further. So, Swaminathan, you want to introduce your slides now?
Oh, yes, Jagdish. Thank you. Ramesh, if you have slides, can you please bring it on screen, please?
Now, what is it called, Swami?
Oh, it's called, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Swami and the VHS team for
I think you can
giving me this.
take forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Swami and VHS team for giving me this opportunity. I'll just walk you through some of the basic statistics which will expand what Dr. Swami has said so far so that we can discuss around the data. So this basic data is sourced from Income Tax Department to state that how was the status-wise returns and values that has been happening. We have close to 8 crore taxpayers in India, out of which 7.54 as given by tax department relates to individuals. The rest forms part of HUF firm and things like that. What does this mean exactly is the majority of the tax contributors are the individual peoples as compared to the other form of structures. This forms the basis of our future slides discussion, so I just want to put this on record. If you see the status-wise distribution of taxes, we have close to 15.35 lakh crores of tax collected, out of which the individuals contribute to close to 6.78 crores. Like 44% of the tax collected in India comes from individuals. Now, which strata of the individuals is contributing to those taxes is the interesting point. If you see 44% of the taxes from India, out of that 33% comes from the 0 to 5 lakh income. This is exactly what Dr. Swami has been saying so far. We are getting taxes from the bottom of the barrel, right? People who are earning very little or who are entering the income tax, they are being squeezed like anything. So they contribute close to 34% of your tax collected. Plus people in 5 to 15 lakh comes to 24%, 15 to 50, 18%, above 50. So if you are going to tax this section of the society who are entering an income zone at the first level in life, then you don't have much money left for them to invest, not do any other thing to develop economy. This will shrink the force of the economy which they are able to. instead of proving a spring benefit for them to jump around to make more money and contribute more to economy, we are squeezing them via exorbitant taxes at this point of time. This I'll skip. So this is what a predominantly an average taxpayer life say looks like for us. We are caught in an infinite loop where we pay income tax, where we pay a GST on every purchase and sales, where we suffer the fuel prices, irrespective of it is being mapped to the international market. We are just one bill away from the medical emergency, to touch the poverty line. We are fighting inflation. In addition to that, we are suffering a higher rate of interest. We are also paying a home registration charges at exorbitant level, like 4 to 8%. Plus, if you have to buy a vehicle registration, then you have to pay that as well. Above all, your medical insurance premiums also attracts GST. So this is the stage of an Indian average taxpayer who is, averagely he works to 6 to 7 months for the Indian government. Rest 4 to 5 months he has to live with his family for his next life. Well, death and taxes are inevitable, being taxed to death is not. So this is the point which I would like to emphasize here. Except Dr. Swami, I haven't come across any politician who is giving a voice for this middle class people who is suffering like this. We are like squeezed. We don't have anywhere to go now. Perhaps this is the only forum which is available for us to voice our thoughts out. What Dr. Swami essentially said before this is to have an abolished income tax. So if you abolish an income tax, you have more disposable income. This is just an extrapolation of idea within my brain. So you have more savings, which will lead to more capital inside the bank infusion, right? If you have spend more also, you are going to spend on goods, services, property, vehicle. That will move the economy around instead of So this is a basic diagram which you can make it simple for us to understand what the abolition of income tax means and where the income tax so-called abolished money will cycle back to economy in some form or the other, and it will keep the rotate. That will lift the entire country up. Is the basic fundamental thought. One of the most talked points of this budget is the capital gains. So there are two variants of capital gains. I'm sure people who have sold their property before 23rd of July will have a good time, but now it's not going to be so great. So if you are in a listed assets where as your part-time you're going to do a trading all the time, so you're going to hold the security of less than 12 months, then your tax is increased by 5%. Earlier it was 15, now it is 20. So if you're going to move on to immobile property, which is a much point of debate, then more than 24 months is going to be a long-term capital gain on which the indexation benefit has been removed. What this does means is when you buy a property at a particular rate in earlier years, so the rate is adjusted for the inflation number, and the inflated number will give you a revised cost which can deduct as a cost of purchase. That has been eliminated from this budget. Okay, so your indexation benefit is removed. So the cost of property which you have bought at that point of time will remain the same cost. Therefore, the base on which the tax is being calculated remains higher as compared to earlier. The government has published FAQs outlining it's not so, it will result in more benefits. But there are also other calculations to show that it's not so beneficial to us. The significant point you can see in the FAQs is one of the reasons which is given by the budget is to bring parity between the residents and non-residents when they make a property sale. I don't know what newly found law for non-residents has come for the government of India to say that they want to bring us on par with the residents. But nevertheless, it's one of the reasons given. And they are also on the assumption that the property price is hiking or somewhere is giving you an appreciation of 14% per annum. Nowhere in India, every property is giving a 14% hike per annum. That's not the case. If government is going to rely on such type of data to alter the tax slabs, then I'm afraid we need to rethink about this. And at the most, the appreciation can happen by 8 to 10%, that too in urban cities, not in all the places. This is a very significant point which has caused much debate in the social media and everywhere to say that this proposal can be revised or thought through again. But then the Revenue Secretary has given his sound bites to say that it can't be revised. This is well thought out proposal. So I will leave it at that. So this is exactly our summation of where do we stand in terms of taxpayer and some of the very basic proposals, just to give our viewers and highlight about what has happened in India Budget 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swaminathan. I would ask Arvind Chaturvedi to express his view, and then we'll go to Mr. Ramesh Swami.
Thank you, Jagdish. I'll start with what Dr. Swami said in the beginning. Dr. Swami said for any planning, there has to be 4 pillars. The first pillar is the most important thing, and he has highlighted that. Though on paper, Government of India in every budget, including the budget 2024, says this is our objective, this is our priority. So they have given the priority as Garib, Mahila, Yuva, and the employment as budget theme is skilling and all that. That is only on paper. So there are many things which look very good on paper, but when we go deep into the figures, we realize that whatever is planned cannot be achieved so easily. Now we tom-tom about the 3rd largest economy, or currently they say we are 5th largest economy, and in Modi 3.0 will become the 3rd largest economy. The question is, what do we achieve? What do people achieve by becoming 3rd largest economy? You see, United States of India has more than 28,000 billion as the GDP. India has roughly around 4,000 billion, which is number 5 currently. Even if we cross Japan, and even if we cross Germany and become 3rd largest, what about the individual income? You know, in India, the individual per capita income is only $2.73,000. Whereas even the countries which are 6, 7, 8 in rank, for example, UK, France, Brazil, Italy, they have 18 times, 20 times, 5 times, 11 times per capita income more than India. So we always highlight we are becoming 3rd largest economy, 3rd largest economy. What is people gaining out of that? Is per capita income going to increase? So when Dr. Swami said your priority should be defined, and the priority should be rising income for the people who are at below subsistence level and employment. These 2 things should be our priority, and there is no mention about how to achieve these priorities in the budget. Though they say there's some very, very good things, and these good things are only for the optics. They're not really meaning much, though, as I said, on paper everything looks fine. For employment generation, they said we'll give 3,000 rupees as PF contribution to employers. We'll give instead the apprentice scheme for the employer. Now, for example, when we go deep into these announcements, you find the loopholes. Nirmala Sitharaman says 1 crore youth will be given apprenticeship opportunities, the 500 top companies. Now just calculate this. 500 top companies and 1 crore youth, 20,000 per company. Do you think it is practical? One top company will give apprenticeship scheme to 20,000 people. I mean, these people, as I said, they don't calculate. They say our income is increasing, we are becoming 3rd largest economy. Out of 140 crores, 80 crores people are living on the free food. If these 80 crore people are not poor, where is this food going? And has anybody asked this question? I asked this question. In this budget, they've increased the limit of Mudra loan from 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs. Very good. But how many Mudra loans they have given? On paper, they say 43 crores Mudra loan given till 2023. Now imagine, nobody has gone into these figures and nobody asked this question. Out of 140 crore population, there are roughly 28 crore families. If we go by the average family size of 5, that means on an average, 1.5 person in every family all over the country have got Mudra loan of 10 lakh rupees. I mean, they make fool out of people with these figures. These figures are jugglery, nothing but jugglery of figures, and this budget is full of such things. They say that Swaminathan has already highlighted about this indexation issue, that property long-term capital gains has been reduced. They say reduce from 20% to 12.5%. Great reduction. But when you say that indexation has been removed, if you bought a property of 10 lakhs rupees in 1990 or 2001, what is the current value of that property? If you are selling it for, let's say, 3 times or 4 times, it will not be counted. There's no indexation. There's no inflation counted for 20 years or 10 years or 15 years. What indexation has been removed? It's a great loss. What it is going to do, it is going to introduce black money once again in the real estate, and the prices are going to increase. Now, on one hand, you say, Dr. Swami has mentioned about the priorities. Dr. Swami, if you realize after the Corona 2021, the savings rate in India has gone down drastically. There's no money left with people. You know, India used to boast of one of the highest savings rate in this country, domestic savings rate. It has gone up to 34% at one point in time. So 30%, 32%, 28%, 24%. This used to be the norm. Now, what has happened to savings? There's no savings at all. I mean, people have spent after Corona, 4 years have passed, and the savings rate has no effort on the government side has been made to increase the money. And of course, they say we are reducing the custom duties on gold and silver. 6% duties on gold. People don't have money to eat. 80 crore people are getting 5 kilograms of ration every month. And you're saying gold and silver had been reduced by 6%. People are buying gold and silver. Who are the people who are buying gold and silver? Except maybe top 2% or top 3%. So this budget, repeatedly I say, is nothing but an exercise in continuum. They are maintaining the trend. They are only benefiting the rich. And when I say they're benefiting the rich, if you compare the income tax and the corporate tax, the government is earning much more than income tax. And that is why Dr. Swami has been saying for last 25, 30 years that abolish personal income tax. But what they're doing is they're reducing corporate tax. And this year particularly, corporate tax has been reduced for foreign companies more. I mean, who are you benefiting? So when you look at the details of the budget and you read between the lines, you find this budget is only pro-rich budget, pro-corporate budget. Nothing has been there for the farmers. Farmers have been agitating for last 2 years since the introduction of the bills. And of course, bills have been withdrawn, those agriculture bills. But the MSP issue has not been addressed. The employment issue has not been addressed. The inflation issue has not been addressed. The pricing issue has not been addressed. So basically what you are doing, of course, there are some good things, and those good things should not go unmentioned also. For example, again, that depends on how soon they implement. In the interim budget, in the month of January, when Nirmala Sitharaman had presented, there is some scheme called Surya Bijli Yojana, 300 units free, because there will be solar panels and solar panels will be subsidized and all that, and people were asked to register for it. More than 1 crore people registered, and government again went all over town to say, 1 crore people are registered for the Surya Bijli scheme. How many people have applied? Till date, Government of India has admitted and given the figures, 14 lakhs people have applied. And naturally, these people are not those people who are living below poverty line. These people are these are people who are on the top 5%. But again, every scheme of the government, when you examine and when you investigate, you'll find it is only serving the cause of the top 5% people of the country. 95% people are being affected day in and day out, and their income is going down. And that is why Dr. Swami said, I think this figure should be examined by the government once again. Inequality in the country is on the rise consistently. Budget after budget, जो खाई है गरीब और अमीर के बीच में, ये खाई बढ़ती जा रही है. गरीब और अमीर, गरीब और गरीब हो. अमीर और अमीर हो रहा है. इनफैक्ट my PhD thesis is also on this income distribution of India, and after the economic reforms were introduced by Narasimha Rao government in 1991, the impact of the economic reforms has only benefited. Of course, it benefited poor as well, but it has benefited more rich people as compared to the poor people, and that is the reason कि गरीब और अमीर के बीच का जो गैप है, ये खाई है, ये बढ़ती जा रही है. गरीब नीचे पिसता जा रहा है, अमीर उसका फायदा उठा रहा है. गवर्नमेंट इज ओनली कैटरिंग to the requirements of the rich people, and government is ignoring the poor people. We examine interim budget, we examine full budget, we examine last year budget. Whatever we do, all the schemes are pointing in one direction, and that direction is pro rich and pro corporate. That is the summary of the budget.
Thank you, Arvind ji. Ramesh ji, your comments on the budget.
Yeah, thank you, Jagdish ji. Thank you, everybody. Dr. Swami, great introduction, followed by a very succinct presentation by Swaminathan. And as usual, Arvind ji, being a professor, comes with statistics that are hard hitting. I have only one point to make, Dr. Swami. It's essentially, I want to highlight one issue and see how stupid and idiotic this government is doing in terms of the budget. I'm just taking education as Arvindji. I'm just going to take this topic. The government of India levies a cess of 4%, education cess. Dr. Swami, this is above and beyond the 18% GST that the students pay for college fees. So, in addition to parents struggling to put their children through education, putting them through college, tell them it's hopefully giving them a big future. This is only the middle class, Dr. Swami. I'll come to another point later. They are paying 18% cess on education fees and everything. In addition, all these parents are paying 4% education cess to the government. Dr. Swami, the latest statistics, even the CAG has admonished and given a very bad report about to the finance minister, saying that heavily underutilized. This money is just sitting in the government coffers and it's not being utilized. One example of this, Dr. Swami, assuming this government collects 4% cess surcharge from all the taxpayers, I don't think India has even created one international quality university today. The number of students coming from abroad to study in India has fallen steadily in the past 5 years. Whereas, Dr. Swami, you'll be shocked to hear there are 2 million students going abroad. And as per a recent estimate, over 70 billion, I'm talking with the B, $70 billion is going out of this country to universities abroad, Dr. Swami. What is the purpose of this 4%? In addition to GST, in addition to the income tax, in addition to screwing people of this long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains, everything. First of all, as Swaminathan said, the 0 and 5 lakhs, they're already squeezed out. Every parent out there saying, okay, I'm squeezing out, I'm going to save some money for some time so that I can send my children to school. Again, long-term capital gain. If they want to put some money away and put a long-term capital gain, hit them again with another tax. Now, when the parent struggles, okay, now I have to pay the additional 2.5%. Swami, when it is increased from 12.5 to 15 now, long-term capital gain. So the additional 2.5% they have to make up. So how are they going to make up in addition to pay for the 18% GST? They say, is this all worthwhile in doing this? I think, Dr. Swami, this government, by putting all these, adopting all these measures, is going to destroy education as we know it in India. I just want to highlight one important point, the biggest pain point of middle class. Forget about the rich. They don't care about educating the children in India, Dr. Swami. Very clear. They are sending their children in hordes abroad. They know the quality of education is woefully bad. And this government has done zilch in the past 10 years for improving the quality of education in this country. In addition to collecting all these additional taxes, done nothing. They are nothing but looters. They are looting the money from the public blindly. I just want to keep that point, Doctor. So that's what I wanted to say. And Swaminathan, as you said, it is laughable that in addition to all the taxes you pay, you tack on more taxes. I don't know, at some point in time, Dr. Swami, they might even introduce a tax on the tax. I mean, we are at that level these days. I mean, I don't know how the middle class is able to survive in this country. Every parent has to do 4 jobs. I think that's the way it has to happen for them to even give their children a decent education. That's my point, Dr. Swami. Oh, I think somebody put a comment. Yeah. I just one small Jagdish. They said, no, one small thing. So some of the time they said,
can you enlarge this for the benefit of our viewers? Dr. Swami was referring to the chart. Can you?
I think, let me just put this full screen, Jagdish. But unfortunately, the screen, I don't know if we can enlarge, but I will try. I will put it later, Jagdish. I'll make a bigger picture and I'll put
it. What you can say is that in the first 5 years of Modi itself, the growth started declining. And then it was covered up by the COVID business. So say, no, it was because of COVID. But all the recovery that has taken place is because you started measuring it from the low COVID fall. So, I mean, they're getting it both ways. To 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. I've given the statistics in those in this graph. It's going down to 3.5%. And then it was covered up by COVID. And now they are taking the advantage of the fall in the COVID and it's going up from below. And they're saying, oh, we are growing at 8%. So this fraud, this cheating, this is not to me, but the fact is that no newspaper is ready to publish it. No newspaper is ready to publish. See, it was 2016, you see going down. Yeah. And then it climbs up. Now this figure as a base of this will naturally give you 8%. After that is again flat. And they're saying, no, it's going up every year. So therefore, all this doesn't come in the newspapers. And if I even sent an article with this in the newspapers, they won't publish it. Because there will be somebody from the PMO will come and tell them you can't publish this.
Dr. Swami, bluntly, I don't think much of the media also understands the budget very well or the economy very well, Dr. Swami. I mean, everybody has just become a dalali, and unfortunate what it was earlier. Because Dr. Swami, when Palkiwala is there, even though he's not a great economist, but every time people rushed and waited for Palkiwala to give a speech on the budget, where he laid it threadbare. When he went to give kudos, he gave. When there was a criticism, he gave. We don't have that anymore, Dr. Swami. It's just a screaming match on television. Nobody has any clue as to how to analyze the budget. What you said in the first 10 minutes, Dr. Swami, as of today, if you look at all the thousands of hours that the idiotic media in India have spent, they've not even covered 1% of what you said in a very clear and concise manner and saying where the priorities are wrong. This budget is all about collecting more money. In fact, the FM said, what do? I need more money. I mean, is this the way to say, okay, the only way to make money in India is to collect more taxes? I'm very sorry, Dr. Swami. The way she's squeezing, reducing corporate taxes, increasing personal income tax is very unique to this country, Dr. Swami.
No. In India, if you are a natural person with blood vessels, you are taxed more. If you are an artificial judicial person, then you are taxed less.
It is just amazing the amount of taxes that they want to do this. The way there is no way that if the industries are incentivized, Dr. Swami, in some form, shape, or the other, as you said, make every tax indirect. Forget about the personal income tax. Then every citizen of the country is paying some form of a tax, which is basically GST. And why there are 10 different slabs, why there are even in the GST that you can pay 8%, 0%, 18%, 12%, 12.5%, 28%. What is all this nonsense? In addition, they're also paying cess. It is ridiculous when GST was supposed to have one tax, one nation, one tax. in addition to whatever they're doing, why do you, when you are collecting all that GST for education, why is this 4% cess necessary? And as Arvindji broke the biggest fraud, as I would say, the biggest fraud that this budget made was this promise of 1 crore interns, right? Arvindji, 1 crore interns. What nonsense. Dr. Swami, I run a company, even though it's small, even for a large corporate, even if it's a top 500 companies, as he said, 20,000 interns. Dr. Swami, no company will spend time. The cost of hiring an intern will far outweigh this 5,000 rupees this government is giving. So no.
Ramesh, I'll tell you something even more interesting. Even more interesting. This money which the corporates will spend on internship will be under the CSR scheme. Now, CSR scheme has been made compulsory for top corporate companies, and my claim is, and I can prove it if required, 50% of the CSR money is being siphoned off by the corporates. And this money, this provision, that the internship money and the help to the prospective employees will be under CSR. Further siphoning will be done, I'm sure, and nobody is questioning this.
Arvindji, that's exactly where in fact, I told Swaminathan before today's meeting that this so-called internship is nothing but another black money route for big corporates to siphon off money from their books and saying it's not coming as a part of, okay, I have hired 20,000 interns in what? Cleaning the bathroom, sweeping the floors. They're interns, no? I will call them healthcare interns. How does it matter? I will call them healthcare interns or, something like sanitation experts. This is exactly how the corporates think, so it is very sad.
One more very important thing is for the poor, no attention has been paid for the minimum wages in the states. Delhi, for example, people may criticize Arvind Kejriwal, but in Delhi, the minimum wages is 17,800 and more. No other state has that. Let me tell you one very interesting thing. In Manrega this year, the budget has been increased from 60,000 crores to 86,000 crores. Very good, fine. But during COVID, it was much more, 120,000 crores. So maybe over a period of time, it has got reduced. At that time, it was required, fine, no problem. But out of these 86,000 crores which we are spending under Manrega, has any provision been made for the states to give the minimum wages? The wages which the people who are earning for 100 days is 350, 250 per day. What can a family do in 250, 350, and that too only for 100 days in a year? It is only 35,000 in a year. And 35,000 in a year for a family of 5, just calculate per day income. They are doing fraud in the name of Manrega. No real benefit is being provided to the poorest of the poor in this country. And that is the tragedy.
I wish to add some things. Just like we had predicted before the Lok Sabha elections, this lady Nirmala Sitharaman, by presenting an anti-BJP voters budget, I am very clear, this is an anti-BJP voters budget, especially the salaried class, the professional class, the middle class and the urban voters have been most affected by this budget. In fact, it's the climax of all these 11 years or you say 10 years of Modi rule. And there are elections in Maharashtra, there are elections in Haryana, and there are elections in Jharkhand. And that is all around October, November. This budget is going to affect the BJP the most. And if Modi and his wise men can't see this writing on the walls, I don't know what can save the BJP. In fact, it is high time that Modi and his team is sent out from the BJP and another team is there in place to lead the BJP to get out of what happened in June 4th with the 240 seats. I think there is a need for a change of leadership in the BJP. That's what the people want. And basically it has hit the BJP voters the most. In fact, they are most shocked. Seeing the comment on today's, our comment box, you get a feel of what is the resentment in the middle class, the worker, the BJP workers. They are hit the most. They are not able to explain to the voters why we cannot do any better on the economy. While other, Manmohan Singh could do it, Narasimha Rao could do it, but we have lost. There's no sense of direction in what Modi is doing. Perhaps like following the previous governments and the socialist regime, just tinkering with this taxation and fooling the people and what they call as the Jumla. Seems to be the outcome of Modi and PMO and Nirmala Sitaram in the budget. So the middle class urban voter is totally upset. And as Arvind Chaturvedi and Swaminathan and other people have pointed out with figures, this is all a Jumla, nothing else. And for the benefit of our viewers, they wanted to know whether Dr. Swami has written a book. Yes, Dr. Swami published a book known as Reset. A Hindi version also is available. The book Reset is published by Rupa and is available. It was released by Pranab Mukherjee when he had just retired as the President of India. And the book Reset is available on Amazon. We had displayed just now the link on Amazon from where you could get the book, and Rupa are the publishers. Swami has a detailed book. Dr. Swami, there's one question from my viewers, like lot of doubting Thomases. They want to know that if you abolish income tax, how will the government gets its revenue from? So I want you to tell us directly. Definitely people should read the book Reset by Dr. Subramaniam Swami, published by Rupa, but Dr. Swami will be able to answer that question very easily. Where will the government get revenue if you abolish personal income tax?
Well, first of all, what is the government using this money for? That would be an immediate point, I would say. But most important is, when you abolish income tax, what do you think the people of India will do? Those who are income tax payers, they will take that money and put in a fixed deposit for 6 years or 7 years or 9 years, and the money will be backed with the government. It will be all these schemes that are there for savings. They are put out by government. They are government banks. So this is the usual fear. What do you mean? If the money is taken, and what have you done with that money? If you can say that you have done something with that money you have taken for the people, then you can ask me this question: what are you going to do? What the government is going to do? Cut your government's size down. Why you have such a big size? Most countries in Europe and the United States and Japan and all, they have only 1/3 the size that India has, the Indian government has.
I want to highlight one more thing, Ramesh. When I said Nirmala Sitaram has done jugglery of figures, you see, whenever they want to highlight something, they change the figures, they increase the figures. For example, under NEP 2020, when it was launched, the National Economic Policy, it was said that the budget will be 6% of the GDP. Of course, including the state budget, but it is nowhere near the 6%. Last year, it was 1.1 lakh crores. This time, I was very surprised when I saw the figures that about 2 lakh crores are being spent on education. I went into the detail, and then I found it is not 2 lakh crores on education. It is 2 lakh crores on education plus skilling plus employment. So what they have done is, they have increased in figure from 1.1 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore, giving an impression that they have almost doubled the budget on education, but it is not on education. They have merged all employment schemes, all skill development schemes in the education budget, though the ministries are separate. So this is why I called this is nothing but jugglery of figures to fool people. And then they say, Jagdish, one more minute. This very important point. They have been saying middle class, middle class, middle class. And one of the themes is also middle class. But what has middle class got? हिंदी में कहते हैं झुंझुना दे दिया, बजाने के लिए झुंझुना दे दिया मिडिल क्लास को. ये झुंझुना क्या है? झुंझुना इन द नेम ऑफ द इनकम टैक्स reconstitution of slabs. What they have done is they have changed the income tax slabs, and of course maximum is still 30%. But what have they got? Those people who in the lowest slab, they will save only 650 rupees. Those who are in the highest income bracket will save only 17,500 rupees. Now 17,500 rupees is not even 1.5 thousand per month. What are they talking about? What kind of benefit they are talking about middle class, which is one of the theme of this budget? So they are only doing jugglery of figures. They are fooling the people, and this budget is nothing but an excellent exercise in fooling.
Arvindji,
we 1 minute, Ramesh ji. We have some technical problem from Delhi, and Dr. Swami's internet is down. So we, for the last 1 or 2 minutes, Dr. Swami has not been able to join us. But as I mentioned to you, before Ramesh comes in, I want to tell you about this book, Reset, by Rupa, available on Amazon. And Arvind will tell us the name of the Hindi book, which the same book was translated by Arvind Chaturvedi. The Hindi book is also available. Dr. Swami is back, as he was explaining to us how the abolition of income tax, still our economy or the government can function. And Dr. Swami has stated in his book how by the income tax saved, or the money saved by the middle class or not paying income tax, that will be deposited in bank, and our saving rates will go up, and the government will have excess money for deploying in development projects. Also, Dr. Swami said that if genuinely the government, I think there's some disturbance, if genuinely the government was to auction the natural resources like coal and the 5G or 6G or whatever the Gs which are coming, there will be genuine income to the government. Because when we auctioned, Dr. Swami challenged the 2G and it was all cancelled by the Supreme Court, and one auction was done, more than 1,76,000 crore, more than that loss figure was generated by the government. So if we do a genuine auction of our natural resources, we will be having sufficient money to run the government or its development projects. This is what I wanted to tell your viewers. But Reset is the book you must read. Arvind, can you just enlighten our viewers of the name of the book in Hindi?
Hindi version.
Arvind, your mic is off.
1 minute.
डॉक्टर स्वामी ने जो पुस्तक लिखी है रीसेट, एक मैं कहता हूं प्लानिंग के लिए एक माइलस्टोन है. डॉक्टर स्वामी ने अभी एक्सप्लेन किया लोगों को हमारे कार्यक्रम में कि जब तक हम कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो में परिवर्तन नहीं करेंगे, जब तक कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो में परिवर्तित नहीं करेंगे, तब तक हमारी प्लानिंग कामयाब नहीं होगी, सफल नहीं होगी. और मैं देख रहा हूं सरकार की जो बजट स्कीम है, उन्होंने एक स्कीम लाई थी कुछ साल पहले, उसका नाम था PLI, प्रोडक्टिविटी लिंक्ड इंसेंटिव. प्रोडक्टिविटी लिंक इंसेंटिव देने के पहले मेरा यह दावा है कि यदि डॉक्टर स्वामी के सुझावों पर आधारित कैपिटल आउटपुट रेशियो की एनालिसिस करते और उन क्षेत्रों को आइडेंटिफाई करते जिन क्षेत्रों में कैपिटल लगाने से एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ेगा, तो PLI कामयाब हो सकती थी, सफल हो सकती थी. 4 साल से लगातार ये बात हो रही है, लेकिन एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन उस हिसाब से नहीं हो पा रहा है जिस हिसाब से हमें चाहिए. And this is why the book, which is written by Dr. Swami, should be followed as a Bible for planners. The capital output ratio should be identified industry-wise, and industries should be identified which have potential to generate the highest employment per unit of capital employed. And then only we can succeed in our goal of full employment.
Dr. Swami, if you have a few points to make, I just have one point to make, and after that, you can finish it, Dr. Swami. Go ahead.
Well, you want to make the point first, or
I just want, I'll make a point, Dr. Swami. I just want to add to what Arvindji had said. Arvindji, even this so-called intern, now suddenly the government has clarified that it is not compulsory. Which is it is a slap on the face. You lied openly on the floor of the parliament. Now you're saying it is not compulsory. In addition, it is a mockery of people's intelligence and by giving them a new avenue for black money. That's all I wanted to say, because I want to stick to this education factor and saying that, Dr. Swami, that this impact of this 4% cess and this continued milking and adding more tax burden on the middle class is going to destroy the future of many, many, many middle class students. And I don't know what catastrophe this country is going to face, because they're going to take loan. Even that's not viable these days. I don't know what's going to happen, Dr. I really dread. My heart goes out to all these students who have such big ambitions, and they're being destroyed by this government.
That's right. What I would like to say is that from 1952, when the planning started with Jawaharlal Nehru, till 1990, when Chandrasekhar government came and I began the process of introducing economic liberalization, which Narasimha Rao picked up immediately afterwards. And of course, I had a national cabinet level position with him also. We rose from that period from 1952 to 1990 was at the growth rate of 3.5% per year. Narasimha Rao's period of 5 years raised it year by year just by doing one thing that I said should be done: liberalize the economy. And everybody said, oh, once you liberalize, all the rich people will take over, the poor people will be crushed. All that usual rubbish that comes from Soviet Union, now from Russia, that was all put out as a scare. But Narasimha Rao had the guts to do it. He did it, and the growth rate rose from 3.5% to 8% in just 5 years. I am saying that grow from this 8%, which is achievable, to 10%. And in 15 years, India would be ahead of China. It would be in competition with the United States. It can be done. And how to get 10% per year? I can help. And it's a very simple matter. You motivate people, make them invest, put them in safe deposits. Government takes it up, builds up projects for it. We have not built universities since the last 15 years. Any of these IIT types or IMF types, nothing is coming up now. It's all show and lies and bluff. And that's what is bringing us down now. The moment of truth has arrived. People have already started cutting down the BJP's strength. And I don't think that if this kind of the same people are there, they should all have been removed, because they have failed us. And that's why the BJP came down to 240. Now it will come down 140 with the same people and for the same reason. So we have to watch it. And unless who's going to take bell the cat, that is the issue. And certainly I think that something needs to be done.
Ramesh, your voice is off. Ramesh, your voice is off.
Sorry. Swami, can you mute your Swami? The disturbance is coming from your end. Swaminathan, not you, Dr. Swami. Swaminathan, please mute. Okay. Dr. Swami, this is a blackmail budget. Two parties has blackmailed BJP into stealing 15,000 crores, and the other one was what, 30,000 crores, Arvindji?
Yeah.
I think we've lost Arvindji also. Sorry, maybe it's my... Yeah. This is a blackmail budget, and all that burden of those between these two states, between Bihar and Andhra, has been dumped on the poor middle class taxpayers.
As to help the Prime Minister to Mr. Modi to continue as Prime Minister. That is
And a
the
shame. And a
benefit.
shame on this government. Yeah. Shame on this government by reducing corporate taxes and putting the burden on middle class and to pay for one capital, new capital to be built. Is this the urgency? Is this the need of the hour that you want to build a new capital? It is just, this government has zero priority, it has zero care, and the people who voted for Modi or BJP are fools. And this is how they're getting repaid by Modi, by taxing them more and burdening them more.
Yes.
I think, Arvind, we have more than 1 hour,
You
10
can conclude,
minutes
Arvindji.
program. It's time for you to wind up.
Yeah.
Swaminathan, if you want to say something quickly.
Just one point. The effect of Dr. Swami's 2G case is it bought Treasury close to 6 lakh crore plus. I just want to put that on record. Yeah.
Yeah, this question which Jagdish ji had said about the viewer's question about how to compensate, Dr. Swami has elaborated that many a times because it has been his pet theme, and people in the middle class will appreciate the moment. I mean, even if you can't do it in one go, maybe you can reduce in such a way that middle class feels benefited. I mean, yeah, this kind of jugglery which is being done in the name of middle class, that is basically something which government should avoid, but government is repeating over the period of time. Budget के ऊपर हम जितना बोलें उतना कम है, because everybody will observe the budget from his or her own perspective. But when you look at it from the development point of view, when we look at the growth point of view, when we do not look only at the figures, which are nothing but some kind of jugglery, if you examine this, you will realize that this budget is not only this budget, but as Dr. Swami had said in the beginning, that actually the budget has lost its importance over a period of time. And the kind of allocation that is to be done for, of course, we all know that even the railway budget used to be separate earlier, one point in time, that has also been merged in the main budget and all that. This exercise over and over, from whichever angle you realize, is nothing but to fool the people. And Mr. Ramesh just now said about the capital of Andhra Pradesh. One very funny thing I observed, in the name of eastern states, they have added Bihar, Jharkhand, Northeast, and Assam, and in the same list, they've also added Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh was never counted in the East India. I never knew that Andhra Pradesh is also in the East. Anyway, so I'm saying people don't read between the lines. People don't examine these figures. And if I summarize, I would say, who was given the best comment on this budget? There is an MP called Ramdas Athawale. He's also a minister actually. And when the reporter asked him what is his reaction to the budget, he said it is very important budget. It is very nice budget. It is very, very important budget. It is very, very nice budget. So we can only say these nice things about this budget, but when we look at it, we examine that how this exercise is fooling the people, and it is not reaching the goals. And as I said earlier, we may become third largest economy in a year or two, but that, of course, in PPP terms, we are already third largest economy. But that's not an issue unless and until we uplift the poorest of the poor and the per capita income of the country increases, our goals will not be achieved. And as Dr. Swami said, I revisit the 4 pillars of planning: objective, priorities, strategies, and then comes the question of how you mobilize the resources to achieve those objectives. With that, we come to an end of this program. Thank you, Dr. Swami. Nobody can examine the budget better than you, and we will be waiting for the opportunity to, of course, you will be writing, you will be contributing to the magazines also. Some newspapers do publish your article, and as Mr. Jagdish has already given the details, those viewers who are interested in knowing the finer points of the planning, economic planning, they should read the book written by Dr. Swami, Reset. I had the chance to translate that in Hindi, so that Punarstapna, that Hindi translation is also available. And those of you who want to read in English, Reset is also available on all platforms. Please do. And thank you, Swaminathan, for giving such a wonderful table and analysis of the data. Thanks, Ramesh and Jagdish, and our technical team, without whose effort this program would not have been successful. Today, we have reached 241 episodes. Thanks the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Gadgi Rakesh, Swaminathan, Ishwar Iyer, Tejas Navalgul, Vishal Mehta, Ajesh Nair, and Gurdat Shetty. Thank you all. We'll be meeting again next Sunday, 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, with a new topic and Dr. Subramanian Swami. Till then, Namaskar, Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.